Alright, so I guess you're going to be playing a game, but what are the rules again?
You're not allowed
to do circle, you have to do all your powers.
All your powers. So are there any more powers? You've got the wiggle.
3 pushes and 3.
Yeah, and you're going to say your own side. Yeah? So when you're finished, right, you all got to shout and tell. Let us know. Alright? Yeah? Okay then?
It is actually, when you get into it, really good. Now, Lance, he's been developing his skills on this software, and he's using tutorials to learn this that are online, that are developed by 13-year-old kids who are using this software. Okay, so it's pretty easy to use when you know what you're doing. So what I think we need to do, and this is part of the process of doing this workshop, is to figure out the kind of scale of what we're going to actually try and achieve at the end. Okay, what we can deliver in terms of your special moves, in terms of the characters that you're working on.
I got it.
There's some design issues that we've got to figure out in terms of, if you're all spinning around in your wheelchairs, then that's going to make a lot of people very sick very quickly.
This is basically done to just show the graphics you can get out of the game. It's not so much the gameplay. If I just run the demo quickly, you can remove the player and throw in a car and just start racing around the island, for example. Sunlight, it looks quite nice. But I'll just show you a little something that I put together.
I want to go. Oh, that's wicked, that is.
And then use the left and right to steer. Wow.
Whoops.
And this is where you assemble all the bits that you've got. So what we've got to figure out is what moves, whether we capture your moves or whether we just animate your moves.
We can do penalty shootouts where they're actually hitting the ball and things like that. There's loads of stuff.
Shrek is motion captured, I think. So what you've got there is the actor walks around, but they cover the person with loads of little dots, and then they capture that video of the person talking, then they map those dots onto a 3D model. So then the 3D model starts talking whenever the character talks. Now, we can't quite go that detailed, but we can capture movements, our movements. We may be able to capture the movement of your wheelchair.
Figuring out for them to do specific movements that will control the characters. So, for example, we've got, if we make a fist, the character would do a punch. Because we had about 4 different moves for flying, so we're simplifying it. So one certain movement is to fly, one certain movement is to punch, and then obviously like 360, like reversing, going forward. That's all stuff they do in wheelchair football anyway.
But I think the more they do it now, I think and because we simplified it as well, I think it'll be easier to get it.
Once the technology people come in this afternoon and they get to see their characters, I think it'll click.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, yes.
Exactly what I was saying. They'll create this character and then they'll take on the role of this character. They are still themselves playing a game of football. It's just that these certain movements create this character that's up there to do something.
Because yesterday we were doing ones where if a swipe of the hand, that means your character do a backflip, and they were going, how are we going to do a backflip? Is someone going to help us turn over the chairs? And it's like, no, you don't have to do it. That's what your character's going to do.
Is it a car track? Is it actually a replica of the space that you'll be performing in?
On the moon.
The moon?
Yeah, because Jake's, some of them have got more movement than others. Jake's got no movement within his body.
Right.
Other than his hand, which he uses to drive.
Yeah.
So Jake's would have to be centred more around his chair.
Okay.
So he's thinking on the moon, but have them like the old Jetsons used to go along, hadn't they, in the little backpacks and fly along, so that he can be using his chair movements rather than his own movements onto the characters.
Right. So we could look at how you could modify some of these things. So with your hand, you could actually activate things.
So Mike coming in and actually going, right, this is how we'll create the character, this is how we'll create the environment. I think it's just going to be one of those moments where they go, that's my character, that's where they're playing football, and I'm going to make them fly, and I'm going to make them do this, and they'll... I feel like it's going to happen. But
so what we need to think about is the stuff you've been doing already, which is with the dance moves, your special moves, and your characters, the super dudes that you've been fiddling around with. We have to figure out how we get those into this. All right.